It's Thursday, patch day. THump here, the fastest patch reader in the West. Here we go. We're going to do this fast. I'm going to skip some stuff that I don't consider to be very important. Here we go. Added Trapper to the Hero Labs. New character. Go check it out yourself. Added support for Hero Labs in private lobbies, private bot games, and sandbox that can be used at any time. So you can go play private matches against your friends and stuff and use the characters. There you go. I'm skipping all of this. You can go read it yourself if you would like to. If you can read, my girlfriend will put that in the comments below. Miscellaneous gameplay. Here's where we're going to get started on the juicy stuff. Troopers no longer change soul sharing rules after the laning phase ends. So remember, it used to be after 8 minutes, you would split souls in the lane. So it was good to only have one player in the lane because he would get all of the souls. So it's now meaning two heroes do not split souls. So now you're going, in theory, the way I think about this logically, is you're going to be able to put two people in the lane and you're going to be able to get the maximum amount of gold from it. Whereas before, after 8 minutes, you were splitting the gold with other people and it was bad. So you want like your hyper carry Haze to be in their lane by themselves, getting as much juice as they can and not splitting farm with people. So now, in theory, now I'm from Mississippi, so again, I'm pretty stupid. But now you can share these souls past 8 minutes. So you're going to have more people are just going to be sitting in lane together, in duo lanes, soaking up. There's going to be more gold across the map for everyone. Troopers no longer increase their bounty by 20% at 8 minutes, though. So before, after 8 minutes, you would get 20% more gold. Now that no longer happens. This is to kind of balance with this change as well. Hero kill gold increased overall. 150 at the start of the game. Now it's 175. From 0 minutes to 45 minutes. So you're going to get more kills later in the game. You're going to be able to snowball a lot better now as well. Neutral creeps now get 5% less souls. Troopers now take 28% more damage from Guardians. So it's going to be, if you get a massive wave, Guardians are going to be able to kill those creeps a lot faster now. Walker damage versus players has been increased by 10%. It's going to be harder to dive walkers. I mean, it's already pretty difficult with the stomp, knocking you down and everything. Guardians will now focus their attack on enemy players if an enemy player shoots a hero and the enemy player is within 15 meters of the Guardian. This is a good change. You would get shoved under your tower, Abrams would get on top of you and just shoot you, and your tower would just never do anything to him. This is Dota, where you get focused if you hit the enemy hero. So good change. Beautiful change. Love this change. Thank you, devs. Moved 8 neutral camps, 4 on each side, from outside the outer lanes behind the walker to in between inner and outer lanes. So it shows you right here. If you remember, there are always 2 here, 2 here, 2 here, and 2 here. They move these inside. So now the map, there's just nothing to do out here, really. Nothing to do out here. So I'm interested to see what they do with this space now, because it looks like the map is much smaller now. Added cosmic veils on the ground floor entrances to mid that grant vision looking in, but block vision looking out. Bias earned delivery locations moved slightly closer to neutral positions. Minor adjustments to respawn curve. 40-second respawn happening at 20 minutes now happens at 17 minutes. So 3 minutes earlier now. You're just not going to be able to play the game for 40 seconds if you die. So you have to be much more careful and play a lot smarter and just don't feed over and over. Walker armor loss over time now happens at 16 minutes instead of 14 minutes. Trooper spirit resistance goes to 30% instead of 40% at 25 minutes. Mid-boss rejuve trooper health increased by 30%. Fixed trooper resistances against base guardians not working properly. Redesigned the warehouse interior. If you want to go look at this, you can. Move the stairs. Removed all the railings. Okay, I'm not going to go over all this stuff. All right, here we go. The juice weapon items. Close quarters no longer grants plus 85% bullet shield health. Bullet shield health is not affected by resistances, so it's really easy to be shred through late game, but early, this is really good if you have bullet shield health, right? But they changed it, and now it grants 5% bullet resistance. 5% bullet resistance is going to scale better into late game, whereas the bullet shield health is going to be better early game. Restorative shot no longer grants the 7% bullet resist. I've said that this item is really, really OP for a really long time, so they switched it up. It no longer grants the 7% bullet resistance. It now grants 90 bullet shield, so it's going to be better early game. And it also now procs on orb shots, so when you hit souls, it will grant you 15 HP back. If you hit a hero with restorative shot, it gives you 40. Melee charge no longer grants plus 1 HP regen. It has weapon damage reduced from 12% to 10%. Long range weapon damage reduced from 40% to 30%, but it now grants plus 10% weapon damage. This is a buff right here for Abrams, Berserk, Berserker, bullet resistance increased from 7% to 9%, so a 2% buff on that if you run Berserker on Abrams. Active reload now grants plus 50 health. Slowing bullets, spirit power increased from plus 5 to plus 6. Sharpshooter, any snipers, long range weapon damage reduced from 70% to 50%. It now grants plus 20% weapon damage. Alchemical fire, now you can move around and sprint faster if you have it. Heroic aura, this grants you attack speed and other things. Lifesteal, not a lot of people use it unless it's on a shield build or something. Cooldown, weapon damage shield build. Cooldown reduced from 32 seconds to 25 seconds, so they want to get more people to run that. Intensifying magazine, time to reach max damage, reduced. So a buff to intensifying magazine. I think this item is really, really powerful already. I don't know if it needed to be buffed. Toxic bullets, damage change from 5% of your current health. So whatever your current health is on the screen, it would have been 5% of your current health to 2.5% of your maximum health now. So if I have Abrams and I have 3,000 HP, it's always going to be 2.5% of my maximum health instead of my current health. Shadow Weave, detection range has been increased from 18 to 22. I mean, sure, whatever. If a Wraith runs up to me with Shadow Weave, he's just going to kill me anyways, no matter what the distance is. Glass Cannon, health loss reduced from 15% to 12%. So they want more people to run Glass Cannon, but I don't know if that's enough. Frenzy, low HP bullet resistance increased from 45% to 55%. I run Frenzy on Abrams. This is a buff. Woo, 10% free armor, thank you. Lucky Shot fixed it, causing proc effects to roll twice whenever it procced. Silencer now grants plus 12% spirit resistance, and Vampiric Burst cooldown has been reduced. Vitality, these are funny. Extra health, bullet damage increased from 6% to 7%. Healing right duration has just been extended. Bullet armor has been increased from 25% to 26%. Return fire, duration reduced by 1 second. Healing Nova now grants plus 6% ability range. Combat barrier, fire rate increased 6% to 7%, if anybody runs that. Debuff reducer, health increased, so this is a pretty big buff to debuff reducer's health here. Encouraging more people to buy it. I think this is just needed against Inferno. This is a really good item. Healbane, healing reduction increased from 40% to 45%. Good. Reactive barrier restores 1 stamina on proc. So if you're playing against Bebop and you have no stamina, you get hooked and you're going to get a stamina back. You'll be good to go. Reactive barrier restores 1 stamina on proc. So if you get hooked in by Bebop, it procs. You're going to get 1 stamina back. So if you didn't have any, you'll be able to get away easier. Just a minor change. I don't know if this is necessary. Whatever. Spirit armor, spirit resistance increased by 2%. Divine barrier now grants 8% ability range, and it now grants plus 6 spirit power. So maybe I'll try this on Pocket. Maybe? We'll see. Restorative Locket no longer grants plus 5% spirit power, or plus 5 spirit power. It now grants 25% melee resistance. So a lot of melee resistance items being added into the game, but there are some other melee changes here. Metal Skin no longer blocks melee damage, but you can run Restorative Locket to get even more melee resistance if you want to. Debuff Reducer, or Debuff Remover, debuff resistance increased by 5%, and the cooldown has been reduced. I still don't know if this is enough. I mean, if you're playing against Pocket, sure, you can run it, but it's a lot of money just to remove one ability, I guess. Veilwalker, ammo increased by 3%, and the weapon damage has been increased by 5%. More Veilwalker running, maybe? Remember, Veilwalker shield are not, the shields that they give you, the spirit and the weapon shields are not affected by resistances, so they do get shredded late game. Fortitude, health increased from 365 to 400. I was already running this item. Sure, give me more. Love it. Juice me. Life Strike, bullet resistance increased from 8% to 10%, so this is a buff to melee as well. Soul Rebirth has been removed from the game. Thank you. This is a very good change. This late game, a lot of people just start running this, and you're forced to buy it, and it just becomes absolute to play the game. Inhibitor slow reduced by 5%. Sure. Whatever. Siphon Bullets now grants plus 15% weapon damage. Could run that on Abrams. We'll test. Phantom Strike. This is huge. Now grounds any flying targets on impact, similar to how Slowing Hex used to work. So if you're having problems with Vindicta Grey Talon, Lash jumping around like a crackhead, you can just cast this on them and it grounds them immediately. Shoulder charge them. Beautiful. Ammo Scavenger, duration has been increased 10 seconds. Mystic Burst now triggers on your base damage rather than how much the target receives. So before, this was affected by, Mystic Burst was affected by resistances. Now it's not. Just if you do over the amount, base damage, then you are going to get the effect. This is a buff. Love it. Mwah, beautiful. Slowing Hex now uses Enduring Spirit as a component. It now gains plus 10% Spirit Lifesteal and 75 bonus health. Remember, Enduring Spirit was a vitality item. Spirit Power reduced from 5 to 4. No longer grants plus 1 sprint, and damage has been reduced from 70 to 40. This could be an item you look to run on pocket too. I need to test it. Withering Whip. Bullet resist reduction reduced by 3%. The cooldown has been reduced as well, and it now deals spirit damage, and it applies an attack speed slow and a bullet resist reduction. What? So this item, you probably want to look at this item closely to see if you want to put it into some builds. If what I know about this item is correct, then I think that's a really nice changes. Decay now grants plus 1.5 HP regen. Now grants plus 8% ability duration. Healing reduction increased by 20%, but the bleed damage reduced from 3.1% to 1%. So it's going to do less damage, but it's going to apply a much larger healing debuff. So if you know you're going for a kill on someone, pop this on them then. 70% healing reduction on Abrams. I mean, it's going to be really... Whew. Overall, I like these changes a lot. I like the damage, the bleed damage reduced a lot. I like that. And yeah, this is just a better way to build the item, in my opinion. Good job to the devs. Improved cooldown reduction reduced from 16% to 14%. Nerf to pocket and other characters that run this. Spirit Shield has been improved though by 25. Now grants 10% ammo. Superior cooldown now grants 15% ammo. So through both of these, you get 25%. Improved burst now triggers on your base damage rather than how much the target receives. We talked about that earlier. Max HP damage has been reduced from 9% to 8%. They keep changing this every single patch. Magic Carpet now grants 10% ability ranges. Here we go. Hero changes. So Abrams reverted melee attack speed reduction. Good. Shoulder charge can now again use left right strafe to slightly change direction. Shoulder charge now carries momentum at the end of the charge. I think that's a really cool change. Siphon Life spirit scaling has been increased from 0.3 to 0.36. We'll take it. Infernal Resilience damage regen reduced by 1%. Infernal Resilient damage regen duration has been increased by 2 seconds. And the T3 reduced from 8% to 7%. Fixed an issue where Seismic Slam would travel more downwards instead of facing direction. Thank you. Holy, they need to... Ooh, there's a lot of work to be done with that ult, I swear. Bebop, Sticky Bomb. Damage gain per hero impact increase. I can't read this character. I'm sorry. If you're a Bebop player, I just can't do it. All right, we're going to go on to Dynamo now. Now gains 1% bullet resistance per boon, up to 14%. Fixed Quantum Entanglement, sometimes not moving you to the destination properly. Singularity now deals 1.5% max HP in base ability. And the Singularity Tier 3 increased from 3.8% to 4%. Singularity base DPS reduced from 60 to 45. Here, I'll put the patch notes right there, and if any Bebop players can read, then you guys can read them while I go through the other characters, okay? Grey Talon, base bullet damage reduced from 27 to 24. Thank you, Lord. Bullet damage growth per boon increased from 1.41 to 1.62, so the same total damage later on, but the fall-off damage got rescaled, minus 4 meters. Rain of Arrows, strafe distance with stamina reduced, and the charge shot hitbox size reduced by 20%. Thank you. Put this character in the dirt, okay? So nerf the early base bullet damage and charge shot got hit really hard, 20%. I'll have to do a lot of testing and see how hard I'm getting railed by this character still and report back. Haze, Bullet Dance no longer hits 2 targets. Bullet Dance now grants 30% fire rate, and it now allows you to use items during it. So you can pop your ult, and then if somebody's coming to stop you with whatever character, you can pop your unstoppable later during your ult. And Sleep Dagger Tier 3 now also causes a target to wake up with 40% fire rate. So if you're running a weapon damage build against Haze and you're waking up from sleep, good luck. You can't fight back. The Infernus and Catalyst Slow reduced by 5%. Afterburn build up per bullet headshot reduced from 10 and 16% to 9 and 14. So this is a slight nerf to Infernus. Please delete the character. Ivy, Watcher's Covenant fire rate, spirit scaling increased by 0.1. And the bullet lifesteal spirit scaling increased by 0.1 as well. This one is really cool. I want to go to it first. Lash, Ground Strike. Now pulls enemies to the ground with you, similar to Stolen Form recently. So people can't jump out of it. If you land it on them properly, it will squish them down onto the ground. I think that makes him so much fun. I'm going to be playing so much of this character now. Fixed interaction with Mirage's Tornado and Death Slam. Ground Strike can now be cast while on a zipline. McGinnis, mini turret DPS reduced from 60 to 40. Thank you. I hate this character. Mini turret health reduced from 20% max HP to 15%, so it'll be easier to kill them. Mirage got a lot of nerfs. Bullet size reduced by 1. Tornado speed reduced from 20 meters to 18 meters. Tornado lift duration reduced by 0.1. Fire Scarab tier 2 reduced from 15% bullet resist to 10%. So pretty hefty nerfs to Mirage. I've been saying that this character is really, really powerful though. Paradox, bullet velocity increased by a lot. Time Wall no longer has charges though. Time Wall no longer deals 10% max health damage. Time Wall cooldown reduced though. Time Wall tier 2 is now deals 10% max health damage. So they switch this around. Kinetic Carbine max damage amp increased by 15%. Paradoxical swap time to complete the swap has been reduced. Pocket Barrage Spirit scaling increased 0.1 to 0.5. Light melee damage increased from 63 to 75, so you'll be able to light melee creeps, light melee enemies if you want to instead of a charged melee, and you'll do more damage. This is just buffs a little bit, a little care to Pocket, a little love to him. Not too much though. Vindicta, base bullet damage reduced from 15 to 13. Bullet damage growth per boon increased from 0.65 to 0.8, same total damage later on. Stake duration increased. I should have taken prisoner for half the lobby. Flight T2 reduced from 8 seconds to 6 seconds. Crow familiar tick rate changed from every 0.5 seconds to every 1. Thank you. Such an annoying character to get hit by that. It's just constant. Yeah, it's annoying. Assassinate starts at 25% power instead of 50% power. Good. Put this character in the dirt. Viscous, the cube health regen now scales with spirit at 0.2. This is pretty cool. So you'll be able to get spirit and heal people more. Gooball down dash ability moved from T3 to base ability. Gooball size now increases with range upgrades. Doesn't affect collision with the world. Fix some hit detection issues with the Gooball. Warden now has +1 sprint and be able to move around faster. Bullet velocity has been increased by a good bit too. Last stand now goes on cooldown if you die or the ability is interrupted while cast. So if somebody stuns you while you're trying to cast it, it will be put on cooldown. Last stand tier 3 no longer grants you unstoppable during the channel, and last stand now grants plus 50% spirit resistance during the channel. So some nerfs there. Wraith, telekinesis cast time has been increased by 0.1. Good. Put this character in the dirt. Telekinesis damage reduced from 200 to 175. Put this character 6 feet deep. Thank you. Now to the interesting changes. Here we go. Yamato, Shadow Transformation now affects the grapple time speed. Shadow Transformation duration increased from 4 seconds to 6 seconds. The Shadow Transformation no longer prevents death. Shadow Transformation now grants 60% bullet and spirit resistance. And it also gives you 30% heal done after the dispel. Shadow Transformation duration now extends by 2 seconds whenever you get a kill. So it's at 6 seconds, you get a kill. It's at 8 seconds now. You get another kill, it's at 10 seconds now. This whole time, you're getting 60% bullet resistance and spirit resistance. But you can die now during the ult. So there's no more Yamato ult, refresher, ult builds where you would just live decades. You actually can die now. But overall, I like these changes. I think this is going to be the most interesting change to the characters. Really excited to see how it works. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope I didn't take up too much of your time. I will be streaming this right now, the new patch, twitch.tv/THump, just like my YouTube. So come check it out. Thank you guys so much. Like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate you, soldiers.